brothers were playing in the 80s and early 90s to pretty much in like mid to late 2000s. If you had one big name transfer, that was all over the news. That was just it was a spectacle. But now it's a dime a dozen. Every year you're going to see who's moving which way, and this is just a non-championship county. The county has never had a football champion. They play some good ball. They put some people in college and the NFL, but we don't even compete at a championship level. Generally speaking, we've had teams that play for them, but they don't fare well when they get there. And in this little county, there's, TC, they did get a lot of transfers, but there's two schools in this county that are on that Miami level of transfer, in Largo and Lakewood. They've probably seen 15 kids that weren't at their school the year before. That's just one thing. Like, what Doug says is absolutely correct.
And so where you see that, to give people a little bit more insight, in Pinellas and Hillsborough, which is St. Pete, Clearwater, Tampa, those three major cities, you've got 53 public schools alone. That's a lot. So, with those schools, then you've got the Tampa Catholics, you got the Jesuits, you got the Clearwater Central Catholics to get who they want, the Berkeley Preps of the world. But, Jesuit doesn't take senior transfers. But I think we're kind of pushing off the fact that, we've got 7 other classes of teams because we kind of got buried in this rabbit hole of Champagnat. And, again, it may sound like I'm on my soapbox against Champagnat. I think it just in the preseason, the sample size is not big enough, even just based off the issue of the transfers. And I felt like I had made my case. Now, when folks see the list, I think they'll have their own opinions on who goes where. And, the biggest question you have to ask them is, who would you take out? Notice I gave you the teams that I would take out. In terms of, okay, so you want this team in, who are you taking out?
Yeah. Let's do this real quick. Let's go 1A to 8A, looking at the championship last year, and we're going to say who's going to be back, and if they were a winner, will they win it again? And if like just go team to team. If we think they'll make a return trip, and if they'll retain their title. Let's start with 1A.
All right,
that's the easy one.
Yeah, Madison County. I gotta say they're still the favorites. That they're I would say probably like a 95% certainty that they're gonna win 1A again. And the question is, will Bluntstown be back?
Well, Baker was there last year.
Yeah.
So
it's been a different team on that other side, but the one side is pretty consistent with either Trenton or Madison County. And I got love for the Cur Dogs. Got to see them play a lot up there on Boot Hill. But let's be honest, this is a 4A team playing in 1A. Just what it is. Right.
If I remember correctly, Madison County, they're moved into the 1A North now. So now you got Pahokee potentially facing them in the finals. If I saw the classification correctly.
They're in the South.
Okay.
They're in Region 3. So they still have to deal with Hawthorne, Union County, Fort White. You've got the Pahokies, of course, in there. John Palmer's back at Chiefland. So you don't know what you don't know yet with those teams. But what I do know is that Madison County graduates 11 starters and Baker County graduates 13 starters from last year's teams. At schools at the 1A level, seeing as how I was at a 1A school before they decided to go 3A, Pearson-Taylor, that when you lose double-digit starters off of a team at the 1A through even 3A level, that has the potential to be a huge swing in your next year results. Now, using the nuance that Eric mentioned, Madison County is my favorite absolutely to get back to the state finals. In 1A North, even though they lost 11 guys, their roster is actually bigger than Cocoa. In terms of just numbers alone. And so, you've got to pay your respects to the big dogs, and they are the big dogs of Class 1A right now. So in the North, it could be Baker again. It could be a team we haven't really talked about. We know that Northview and Chipley, those teams cycle. Both those teams they all cycle. In terms of trading places, who's really super good. I think you could see teams like Port St. Joe, Bluntstown.
That's who I was going to say, actually. A Port St. Joe, possibly.
Northview, Chipley, all in the mix. But, some of those schools are still recovering from Hurricane Michael. And I know this for a fact because I was talking to coaches that came down during basketball and baseball as recently, talking about they still had they were still having a lot of problems, getting their facilities back online. Kids are still displaced. There's a lot going on in the Big Bend. Not to mention the fact that I'm interested to see how, and I'm sure this will be a topic for a later show, how the SSAC, the Sunshine State Athletic Conference, North Florida Conference, that's created by 12 teams in Class 1A, will work as a marriage with the FHSAA. You got Holmes County, Baker, Graceville, Cottondale, Vernon in Region 1. That's 5 of the 9 teams in Region 1. And then you've got 7 of the 9 teams in Region 2 that are all going to be playing in this conference. That's Liberty County, Port St. Joe, Jefferson County, Wheeler, Hitchcock, Bluntstown, Sneads, Franklin County, Taylor. Taylor County and Bozeman are the last 2 that are not in this conference. And what you'll have is the conference championship week 11, but whoever has been made mathematically eligible for the FHSAA playoffs, those teams are able to get in. So I think you'll be able to see, you'll get a clear picture of who will be Madison County's biggest challenger on that other side. Now, within the South for Madison County, I think, you've got the usual suspect, Pahokee, Hawthorne. You could see Fort White, who has kind of dropped down in weight class, but still has plenty of talent around. Trenton has dropped down from Class 3A. It didn't really work out. So I think that it's gonna be a much tougher road for Madison County this year. But I think they get back, and I think it's anybody's guess between Northview, Chipley, Port St. Joe, Bluntstown. Of those 4 right now, and maybe Baker, if they can, have some kids that saw plenty of time. Again, the one biggest question is, what's the depth situation like at those schools?
All right. I guess we basically did talk about 2A, but I guess we'll still talk about North Florida Christian real quick. Do they get back? Does University Christian get back instead? Like that seems to be probably the best 2 in the 2A North currently. Then of course you got Victory Christian also in 2A Region 2.
Eric, what are your thoughts first on that?
I think that you'll see. I think both of these teams get back. North Florida Christian, I need to do a little bit more research on them. But if the roster that I'm remembering holds true, they did have a lot of underclassmen. And like I said, I trust their coaching over most. If they got the talent, they usually put it together. Will they beat Champagnat this year? That's a whole other story because we'll like you said, Doug, we'll know more by week 6. Because they typically play a tougher schedule. Up for 218, they'll play up some teams, and we'll see what they're doing with that schedule, and we'll know. We'll have a good idea at that point. I don't think Champagnat will have any problem getting back to the title game, but I'm curious to see how their season progresses.
Yeah, and that, Champagnat getting back to the title game is contingent upon Admiral Farragut, Zephyr Hills Christian, and Sefner Christian not reloading. You know what I mean? Sefner Christian, we know they're bringing back Isaiah Knowles, who is a stud at quarterback. Is it good enough? Zephyr Hills Christian, pound for pound, might be one of the best teams in all of Class 2A in the South. But they ran into a couple of major injuries last year, and it just kind of derailed the training they had going. So Yeah, I like NFC to get back to the state title. If it's not them, it's got to be one of, University Christian or Victory Christian, or I'll give you a very long shot. But somebody like FAMU Little Doctors, they might do something. I like what they had last year. They could come out of nowhere, get hot at the right time. FAMU is the kind of the talent that could get you there because of the fact that you play one less round anyways. And those schools, 1A through 3A, those schools up in that region are playing to play a home game. So, in the state finals, if FAMU gets to the state final, they're playing that game right down the street at Gene Cox. So, in the South, if it's not Champagnat, you're going to have to look at Zephyr Hills Christian, Sefner Christian, Admiral Farragut, all the way down in Region 4. Moorhaven seems to have good players, but have they cycled out? So, that would be my group of teams that I think would be in the mix for the 2A title.
All right. 3A, we hit on this a little bit with Chaminade, and now Trinity Christian going from 5A to 3A. You got to kind of think those are probably going to be most people's picks for the 3A finals. The question is, Chaminade's won 2 straight. Trinity had won 4 straight before they went to 5A. This is essentially a matchup of 2 teams that which one would be the 3A dynasty currently had Trinity not moved.
Well, that's a deep discussion right there.
One that we probably could make a whole show out of.
Yeah, you could. So I'll refrain from getting into that one, just to say that yes, King's Academy, sorry, but Trinity's back, and this is if I didn't mind driving to Tallahassee at good old Gene Cox, got some memories there. This is a game that I want to see. This is a prime time game, but
well, the thing is that they've got King's Academy actually put back in the proper region this year. Keep in mind, King's Academy was a Region 2 team all the way out of West Palm.
Okay,
so,
yeah, I didn't realize.
Now they're back in Region 3, so they're in there with John Carroll out of Fort Pierce, Benjamin out of West Palm, Cardinal Newman, Cardinal Mooney, CCC, Calvary Christian out of Clearwater, Berkeley Prep, Bonita Springs, who's a first-year, they're not a first-year program, but it's their first year playing varsity ball, Oasis out of Fort Myers, or Cape Coral, and then Bishop Moreau out of Fort Myers. It's a manageable region for King's Academy, and it's also a huge gift that they don't have to be in Region 2 this year.
Yeah, true. Very true.
So, with that said, Chaminade, to me, Chaminade's there as one of the favorites. I would have to put CCC, King's Academy, Cardinal Mooney and Berkeley Prep are teams that you're going to have to watch for. I would think that, in the top half, it's Trinity Christian and everybody else, but a team that could end up giving Trinity Christian, relatively speaking, of course, fits, could be maybe a Jack Episcopal. If Mark Brunell gets his quarterback to find the tight end that just committed to Penn State, you never know. But Trinity Christian's also got a no-fly zone in their secondary, which we will talk about when their schedule topic comes up. So there's nobody else really getting at them, in 3A North and in 3A South, unless CCC can solve the equation of going down to the Bermuda Triangle, that is going down to Region 4, whether they're down there or coming up here. I noticed that they played their spring jamboree down at Cardinal Gibbons. So, they at least will have something in their memory bank about going down to Region 4 if the situation calls for it. They're going to be, this Class 3A is now where we start to really raise the stakes. Like, Class 1A and 2A, I think, are pretty tough, but, I think we should probably save that stuff for a later date.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and hit on one more classification, and we'll come back to the large school classes hopefully next week. But we're going to hit on Rains and Cocoa was on the 4A matchup last year. Reigns, of course, will not be able to defend their title. They're moving up to 5A. But, of course, now you have Bowles and Coco in the 4A.